Hello and welcome back. This is Candace from Candoodle, and today I have a very fun pastel spring card. It is an Easter card, which is almost over now, but hopefully the technique you can use on many different cards. So let's get started. So I am starting off with some Canson watercolor paper, and I have that on my waffle flower media mat, and I'm just going to paint some clean water onto that, and then come in with some distress inks, which I'm smooshing down on my mat, and then picking up on my paintbrush and putting on my cardstock. So I am using a few different colors of the rainbow. I have abandoned coral, picked raspberry, mustard seed, twisted citron, and salty ocean. And I'm just kind of putting them down in a way that's not going to create mud between two colors. But I did want this to be kind of more free form and flowy. And you'll notice I am using a lot of water because I wanted this to be a very light covering of the inks so I can add more ink later, which you'll see. So now I'm coming with my grid transparency because I wanted to line up my sentiment in the center. So I am using a sentiment that says Hoppy Easter from a Pawsome stamp set. And I ended up heat embossing this with white heat embossing, but I did switch gears with the sentiment, which you'll see a bit later on because I felt it was fading too much into the background. So I'm going to keep doing that same thing with white heat embossing, but this time I'm using a bunch of the eggs from the same Hoppy Easter stamp set, and they're all just a little bit different. I stamped about 3 at a time, and it was a bit of a process because I was heat embossing each of them. I also used my tracing paper so I could see where the eggs were going to go, but I didn't have to clean them off, which saved quite a bit of time. And I found doing 3 at a time was easiest, so I didn't mess up any of my embossing powder, especially because I prefer to use my Missy. Usually you could free range stamp them, you totally still could, but this watercolor paper has a little bit of tooth, so I find I need to stamp it at least a couple times to get the Versamark in all the nooks and crannies. So I wasn't super comfortable just doing this with the stamping block, so it did take a little bit more time, but with the tracing paper, it still wasn't quite that bad, and I think it was definitely worth the final result. So once I was done heat embossing those, I am going to take out the same inks that I was using previously, but if you have them, you could also use the re-inkers if you wanted a more vibrant color. And this time when I smoosh down the inks, I'm only adding a little bit of water so I have more concentrated color. And then I'm kind of painting over inside of the eggs, but with the same color that's below them on my kind of glazed background. So it's really taking the background and just amplifying or making more vibrant the colors inside the eggs. So I think this gives a really cute look. You could do this with any sort of background stamp or small image stamps that you have. So I thought that that was a really fun technique. And this you could do in any sort of color. I just wanted to do the rainbow because this was actually for a design team project for Pawsome stamps. And it goes with our rainbow spring color palette that we have for this month. I will link to the Pawsome Stamps blog that explains the whole challenge down below, but I definitely encourage folks to join. All you have to do is use the color palette to make a card or any sort of project with Pawsome products, and then you can be entered for a chance to win a $30 gift card to the shop if you share your project over on Instagram. So definitely join us. I always have fun doing challenges. So now I am coming back to the card, and I decided that sentiment had kind of fallen into the back. So instead, I got a piece of gray cardstock and I white heat embossed the same sentiment on it. And what I actually did for this one was I double heat embossed. So it just makes the white kind of more puffy looking. It's really quite cute. And then while I had my Misty out, I also stamped the ears from the same stamp set. I stamped the ears that are kind of flopped over, but then they also have bunny ears that one of them is standing up. And I colored them using the exact same Copics that you're seeing here, my N's and my very light R's. And once I was done coloring those, I cut them out and then I propped them behind my sentiment, which I cut out to be a sentiment strip. So it looks like the bunnies are kind of peeking out from behind the sentiment. I cut out a couple more pieces of gray cardstock just to pop that up, and then I'm going to glue that right on top of where my other sentiment was, and I really like the look of this much better than my plain embossed sentiment that kind of fell into the background. Of course, I have to add some sequins, and I got this awesome storage case from Michaels, which is perfect for my sequins that I keep in their bags, which are all my Pawsome ones. And I use the Spring Bling sequin mix, which has a bunch of really cute flowers and pastel colors. So I just used some of the regular sequins in colors that match my background and glued those down. And there we have the final card. You'll have to let me know if you like it down below in the comments. As always, I appreciate the time that you spend here with me. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in another video. Bye.